The front body is completed with 4 chains here, meaning the armhole is joined together. Pay attention when we work on this, especially when crocheting the armhole. Also, be mindful of the hem area here. Follow the pattern chart to create the finishing effect. Just like the cuff of the sleeve, slightly decrease the stitches. Create a gathered effect. We'll still follow this finishing pattern. Merge 2 chains into one. Combine them into a single chain, then work 3 chains without merging. Then merge again. Follow this pattern consistently. Also, pay attention to the hem area. Work it like this. Specifically, pick up double loops, merge and bind off. Continue slip stitches on the hem. For the last stitch here, pay attention. Pick up the 2 loops from back to front. Adjust the V-shaped loops like this. This way you can still work normal slip stitches, or work it like this. Work it this way. I think it looks slightly better for the edge. Then continue normal slip stitches for the rest. The last stitch. Then we pick up a single loop. This last stitch. Pick up this single loop and wrap the yarn around. Then connect it with the previous chain. Pick up another loop here. Wrap the yarn around again. Then proceed to the flower stem. For this one, the last stitch here was already crocheted before. Then we pick up this loop, together with the next stitch. Crochet both loops together. This way the hole here can be smaller. Tighten it a bit. Then we continue with the flower stem. Keep crocheting upwards. A new group of flowers. Start crocheting the flower. Then, how many stitches do we crochet upwards here? Let's see. Just follow the flower stem. Isn't there a flower stem between each group of 2 flowers? So we use this flower stem as the guide. Crochet until we reach where we should. Because both sides of the flower stem are symmetrical. This is the flower stem. Then this part is the flower stem. And we crochet to the other side. Both sides are symmetrical. When crocheting another braid, it should be as high as the braid on the left side of the flower stem, just the same height as the last stitch of that braid. This stitch and this stitch should match the last stitch of this braid. Do we need to maintain symmetry with this braid? Look at the middle part between each group of flowers, that's the flower stem. Both sides of the flower stem are symmetrical. We're crocheting this braid. Then crochet below. And crochet, here. Then row by row, crochet each braid one by one. First crochet half of the flower. Both sides are symmetrical like this, using the flower stem as the reference. Now we've crocheted to the end. Both sides have reached the same height. Then we can return, and crochet back. Return crochet with yarn over and slip stitch. Work 1 chain. Then go back and crochet with yarn over and slip stitch. Crochet down to the hem. Here we just continue crocheting downward normally. There's nothing special here. And this is the effect after crocheting down. Both sides are symmetrical here. Which is the first chain of the new first flower pattern. Remember to bind off the hem? Following the flower pattern, this row of ours has 2 fewer stitches than the previous row, so now we return again. This flower pattern. How to crochet here? Just follow the chart instruction for the cluster flower. Hook to the corresponding position, then crochet as instructed. Follow the cluster flower pattern, connecting row by row. Finally, it looks like this. This is the effect after crocheting several flower clusters. This is still the front sleeve armhole. Take a look here. Left sleeve panel. We've crocheted 3 flower clusters. The third flower cluster is at this row of the flower stem. This row of the flower stem needs to be crocheted. Crochet to this row of the flower stem. This row of the flower stem is still directly crocheted to the cuffs. No decreases yet. Then work upwards from the cuffs to the flower stems. Next row of chains. It should be symmetrical. When it's this row of chains, we start decreasing according to the tutorial. Shape the armhole just like the right sleeve panel. Starting from the right sleeve panel, create a symmetrical effect here. Then, the stitch markers here are aligned with this row of chains. So we added 2 stitches here, right? That's why it's higher. It's 2 stitches higher here, so when we create symmetry, we also need to increase 2 stitches, then gradually decrease 2 stitches. After that, it will match. This row of chains, here they are aligned. The stitch count will be the same. We need to do this. Meanwhile, when we work on these rows of chains, pay attention to starting the cuffs at the same time. Work on this. Begin decreasing stitches at the sleeve bottom. Gradually decrease 10 stitches at a time upwards. This is done simultaneously. For example, now it's crocheted up. Now we're crocheting up from the cuff. Crocheted up. We're working on this row of chains. The stitch count ends up the same, meaning this row has 2 extra stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After this stitch, we crochet upwards again. Crochet 2 more stitches upwards. This is where the 2 extra stitches are. These 2 stitches need to be gradually decreased by the end for a symmetrical effect. Follow the chart for this effect. Just crochet it like this directly. Then it's the same as the front body. We have 2 braids with the same stitch count. Then 3 braids require a decrease. Then 5 braids decrease another stitch. This decrease is the same on this side. As we crochet, after crocheting 2 braids, we skip 1 stitch when moving up, leave 1 stitch unworked, which is equivalent to a decrease. It's simple, just follow the chart. Here's the completed effect. Gradually decrease 2 stitches, then we start new chains. Crochet the back body. Sew them together. Pick the back loop for this back piece. For the neckline, pick the back loop, then this is the right sleeve piece. We pick up this chain. This V shape. This is the wrong side. Then this is the right side. On the right side. This row. The chains remain untouched. So we pick up the V-shaped loop on this side. Join with a slip stitch to sew together. This side is the back loop. Then this side is the V shape. Ten stitches. This is the neckline. Continue. Then below is the yoke flower pattern. For this back piece, still pick the back loop. Just continue picking the back loop downward. Then on this side, we had previously cast on once. Then this is the very top. The very first top stitch. The first stitch we go down one by one like this. Then we look from this side. Don't affect this reverse looking strand. This braid is next to it. Here it comes out. Which means pulling out the needle from here. Then this side is next to it. You can see. Like this. Anyway, these 4 loops are on this side next to the braid. You can also see this is next to each stitch one by one on this edge. Then I'll work with yarn. Color 2. This is the first stitch. From here, this is the first stitch corresponding to the first stitch. The second stitch corresponds to the second stitch. It's right here. Which is this skip? Then each stitch here corresponds to it. There are larger holes here. Right here. He goes through this hole, inserting the hook through this hole, coming out from here. Pay attention that this side should be on the reverse side. Now we look at the reverse position. Just come out next to it. Don't damage this chain. The reverse position. About 4 loops. This reverse position, and this side is the front side. It looks like a chain. So these two chains together. We just did the first stitch. Now we're at the second stitch. Second stitch. Come out like this. Third stitch. First stitch, second stitch. Now we're at the third stitch. Third stitch like this. The gaps here are a bit large. It looks a bit loose. On this we're sewing. This slip stitch needs to be even. Don't make one stitch tight and one loose. Keep a consistent looseness. 123. Then the fourth stitch is here. Right next to this. Insert the hook into the corresponding front loop position. That's it. Insert the hook. Fifth stitch. This side is on the wrong side. It's like this. Because the stitch insertion methods on both sides are different, it's easy to get confused. Then I usually do it like this, one in front and one behind, so I can see how the previous stitch was inserted and where it was inserted. Then the stitch below. Insert it like this. I need to check the correct one. Check the effect on the right side. Stitch each stitch one by one. The result looks like this. This seam looks like this. Then we continue sewing stitch by stitch as before. The little bumps here also match up. Continue. Sew up to the top of the flower stem. We need to change the insertion position. Now pick up 4 loops. When reaching that position, switch to picking up 2 loops for sewing. This stitch is right here. This half stitch needs to come out here, so it should be at this position. You can see it from here. Sew into the top of this braid. Now we need to change the insertion position. Switch to 2 loops. And this side remains as half stitch. Then we pick up the back here. The back position here. We're coming down like this. This position here. You can see it like this. Meaning we're transitioning from ribbing to yoke pattern. At this yoke pattern part we need to also change. Not just sewing along one edge. The seam changes according to the pattern. From the right side, the stem between 2 flower patterns, we need to change when sewing to the flower stem area. It will change later. The position where we insert the hook for sewing. Now it becomes, originally 4 strands become 2. Meaning 4 loops become 4 loops. And now it becomes 2 loops. These 2 loops come down from the braid. Sew to 14 stitches. Then we get to this side. We're on this side now. The last stitch. Okay, let's first check if the sewing is correct. The flower pattern looks about right. We're sewing this seam. Which equals this one. The middle braid here is on this half side. Okay, after this stitch, we need to continue. Next we find the back body. Continue crocheting back on the main body here. Crochet down to the hem. Then go back up. After coming up, we crochet while connecting with the sleeve piece. At this armhole area, we need to join them together. Then we continue crocheting down from the sewing point we just did. Back to the hem. We sew 2. The back loop. Then for the next stitch, this stitch, we do a normal yarn over slip stitch. We crochet the back loop. Continue crocheting back, crochet down to the hem, then we need to connect here with the armhole. And here we have this first chain. There are 10 chains in total here. 10 chains coming up. Then we take the first chain. Pull through. Together with the first stitch. Crochet a yarn over slip stitch. Pulled through. It means that this returning chain aligns with this chain. Then we continue downward, following along this edge. We are inserting from the front, meaning this returning chain aligns with the last chain here. The 10th chain. Here are 10 chains. This one aligns with this one. Now we can see this chain. Now we crochet normally, yarn over slip stitch. Here the hem is. So we have a sequence. Here it's perfectly 2 chains merged into 1 chain. Slip stitch slightly. Intentionally slightly loose. Don't crochet too tight for the slip stitch. Then we crochet back from the hem. The hem follows this pattern anyway. No matter when you crochet. It's always this pattern. Whenever you reach the hem, follow this pattern to crochet. Merge 2 chains, then 3 chains, then 2 chains, 2 chains. 2 together, 3 chains. Like this. Just keep following this pattern. Whenever you reach the hem, check this pattern. Crochet whatever it should be. Do 2 together when needed, crochet single chains when needed. Just pay attention to this point for the hem. Just pay attention to this point for the hem. We're crocheting up from the hem. Here. The last stitch. This is the 3rd chain. The 2nd chain wasn't demonstrated. Then the last stitch. This loop here uses the same joining method as the previous armholes. The same joining method. Just pick up here, and then like this. Then this chain in front. Crochet it again. Wrap the loop around. Then the next chain. These 3 have 1 less stitch than the other 2. So we need to decrease on the return row. Okay, here. Crochet it. Pull through these loops and tighten a bit. Then chain. This stitch is extra. Then we should start crocheting from the 2nd chain from hook. Skip this extra stitch. The 2nd chain from hook is here. Work a yarn over slip stitch. Then we need to decrease on this row. Sew on the 2nd and 3rd stitches. Make a decrease of 2 stitches into 1. Then continue crocheting normally with the remaining stitches. The armhole needs to be decreased twice in total. This is the first decrease, so this row has been decreased. 1 stitch has been decreased. Here you can slightly see a small hole. Not very big. Then for the armhole, we need to decrease twice in total. The next decrease will follow the same method as this one. That's it. Decrease according to the position marked on the chart. Decrease stitches. The rest is just crocheting up like this. Then align with a chain. Then return to the hem, and crochet back up. Then align with this chain again and crochet 1 chain down. Then back up. We still need to decrease the remaining 5 chains. Also decrease 1 stitch. This way we've decreased 2 stitches. 2 stitches because when coming up here, we added 2 stitches when going up. This way it maintains symmetry. Follow this method. We keep crocheting until the end. I'll start sewing from the hem. The left sleeve seam of the back body. The crocheting joining method. With the front right sleeve piece. And the front body sleeve seam. Is the same connection method. We just follow the previous method to crochet together. Here I'll demonstrate the increase technique. Because this side needs to increase. $12,345. These 5 chains don't increase, then 123. These 3 chains increase 1 stitch. And there are still 2 chains left. Right here. Then these 2 chains need to increase 1 more stitch. This part is decreasing 1 stitch. This part has 1 less stitch. And this is. So here we need to increase 1 more stitch. Let me demonstrate how to do this increase. Crochet until there are only 2 stitches left. When there are only 2 stitches left, this is 1 stitch. And there's 1 more stitch here. Increase 1 stitch in these last 2 stitch loops. Work the second to last stitch normally, then the second loop and the last loop. This increase method is the same as the one used for the cluster flower. Then like this. Then we pick up this yarn loop and yarn over. Insert the hook into the front of this chain. Then pick it up. Like this, then into this chains. Right side. Like this. Then pull through all these loops together. Tighten the yarn loops a bit. Work a chain stitch. Then this part is still our increase. This is the last stitch. Skip the first stitch as usual. Normally, because this stitch is for joining the sides, doesn't count, so skip it. Then work into the second chain from hook. This way we've added 1 stitch in this row. See here we've added 1 stitch. This stitch and that stitch are symmetrical. This is how to increase for the armhole. This is how you increase the armhole of the back body and the sleeve. This part. After finishing crocheting, the yarn is at the hem. Then we go directly from the hem upwards and sew it to the front body. Side seam. Then sew the armhole. Then proceed to the next one. Sew the underarm seam of this sleeve, all the way up to the cuff. Sew it like this. Start with the right side seam. Like this. Wrong side facing up. This side is all wrong side. Right sides together, then on our side. The front piece. This is where we insert the hook. This braid. You can see it clearly here. This side forms a V shape. Insert the hook through the middle of this braid. Insert from here. That makes 3 loops, 1, 2, 3. This side looks like a V-shaped loop, and there's another loop on this side. 3 loops. Then we go through here. This is the first stitch insertion. First thread it through. Pass through underneath. Pick up 1 loop first. Pull the yarn over first. Then from the position of the first stitch, the first stitch is here. This side starts from. Come out from this edge. Don't disturb this chain. Then for this side we work back loop only. Tighten the first stitch a bit. Then the second stitch is the next chain. This V-shaped loop. Then this side is like this. Come out from this side. Work back loop only. The third chain. The fourth stitch. The fifth stitch. This is the hem, finished sewing 16 stitches. Then the right side looks like this. For the next stitch we insert the hook here. Then this side is the right side. The right side is still come out from the side of this reverse chain. The side of this reverse chain is also similar to ribbing. We need to insert the hook into this chain, half stitch into the V-shaped loop, and this side is still the back loop. This side is the right side like this. This is sewn up from the hem to the sleeve underarm. We need to make sure the right side is showing. Then we sew the sleeve bottom here. It has flower patterns. Make sure the flower patterns match, meaning this part should align with this part. Both sides at every stage. At this bind off point, the patterns need to match. Then here we start from this bind off. Count 123 stitches upwards. From this bind off 123 should be 6 stitches. Sew up to this point. This side is up to this point. Make a marker to this stitch. 1.2.3. From here to here is a stitch marker, and this side also from here 123 to this stitch. To this position. Meaning these two stitches need to be aligned. So we'll put markers on these two stitches. When sewing down later, these two stitches need to be aligned. Then in the middle here underarm it has to avoid gaps. Then we adjust this part. Here you can adjust appropriately, whether it's multiple stitches or small hook stitches. Just adjust here. Now let's look at this. After sewing this stitch, then there's one stitch here. I'll insert the hook at this spot. Hook this stitch with the one on this side. This side. Like this. Perfectly there's. Sew one stitch here, then gently tighten it. Because this is the underarm area. If it's loose, it might create a large space. And for this stitch, it's on this side. We go through here. On the right side, we want to show this braid. This flower pattern should be visible. When we pull out the needle, we go next to this braid. Next to this front side braid. Coming out from the side of it. Following the edge of the braid and coming out from the side. Then here we picked up 3, which means these 2 loops. And there are 3 loops on this side that we picked up together. Then on this side, we still pick the V-shaped loop. Pick the V-shaped loop and then remove the stitch marker. This means it's the next stitch. And like this, stitch by stitch next to each other. Continue and next to this stitch. Then come out from the side of this braid. Don't damage that braid. Come out from this half side. This stitch marker can also be removed. From the side of this braid. Then here we pick the V-shaped loop. Four stitches. Five stitches. The sixth stitch is the one. On these 2 stitches, bind off 2 together here, and this side also needs to be 2 together here. This is right next to the 2 together. It's exactly this stitch. Align them properly. Then the next stitch below. Stitch by stitch, one after another. When you reach the flower pattern position, make sure to check carefully. See if the flower pattern aligns correctly. And don't damage the braid on the right side. Just keep crocheting like this. Keep sewing together. Here we are at this. 2 stitches 2 together. And this side is also 2 together. Check the flower pattern. Like this. Align properly. Just keep crocheting straight until you reach the cuff ribbing. We are now sewing to. We are now sewing to the cuff ribbing. The cuff ribbing side is the same as the hem side. It looks like a chain from this side. Insert the hook into the middle. Insert the hook here, and this side. Just continue crocheting. Crochet the V-shaped loops. This cuff has 16 stitches. One stitch has already been crocheted. Now look at this way. From this position like this. Like this. Look at this loop here. One stitch has already been crocheted here. Then the second, third, and fourth stitches are next to this edges. This side still needs to be mindful. Our right side is. It also looks like chains. Here is a chain. We need to pull out the needle next to this chain space. Pull out the needle here. For example, here we are. Insert the hook here. Be careful, this chain is a bit tight. Pull out the needle like this from here. Then continue crocheting the V-shaped loop with the next stitch. With the next stitch. Here. Here. Come out next to this chain. Make sure not to poke this chain. Come out from the side here. Last stitch. Then make a chain stitch. Pull closer. These two can be tied in a knot. Then hide it. Check the right side effect. When sewing, pay attention. Don't use the slip stitch. Don't pull too tight. Keep it relaxed. Match the tension of the main body. The stitch tension should be similar to the body. Not too tight. This is the underarm. This area is the armhole. The part we just sewed should align with this flower. Align with this. This is the bottom seam. Then the cuffs. Use the left side seam and left sleeve. Sew the sleeve bottom seam together. We need to bring in new yarn here. Then start from the hem again. Still begin sewing from the bottom. We should maintain the same tension, same as the right side seam. Make sure the braid on the right side. The braid is complete and symmetrical. I'll find a spot to bring in the yarn first. At the head of this first stitch here. Each head here. Can pick up one strand or two strands. Anyway, it looks better to you. As long as it's flat, there's no standard way. Just be satisfied with your own work. Then, after bringing out the yarn, make a chain stitch. Pull tight to secure it. The first stitch is from this side. Insert the hook here. And don't damage this side. This looks like a reverse chain. And this side is. The first stitch. Then 3 loops. 1, 2 and from here. Insert the hook here. Also from this chain it looks like, so this is a chain. Just pick up these 3 loops. Pull tight a bit. This side is from here. This side also picks up 3 loops actually. And this side is the second stitch. Just follow along this, stitch by stitch along. And this side, like this. From the entire chain. Stitch out from the side here. That's stitching out from the position between these 2 chains. Third stitch. Fourth stitch. Stitch by stitch. Just let it come out. Slightly different from the right side seam. The right side seam is, the front part is the same. Then below, divide into upper and lower pieces. For the lower piece, just pick up the double loops. On our side, we pick up 3 loops. Pick up 3 loops. On that side, just pick up the V-shaped loops. Then on our side, pick up 3 loops. Whether picking up 3 or 2 loops, it all depends on the situation. The goal is to make it look sewn on the right side, making it look more seamless. Less noticeable means not so obvious, just more natural. You adjust according to the situation. Actually, the simple way is just to pick up a single loop on this side. Can also be sewn together. Just go with what works for you. Sew together, meaning the gap might be more visible. Or something like that. I'm crocheting this way, hoping to make it as seamless as possible. So the joining spot isn't really noticeable. The only purpose is sewing together. Actually, there are various sewing methods, as long as it gets sewn together. Everyone should adjust according to the situation. Just crochet and check as you go. How to sew it until you're satisfied with the result. If you find this sewing method troublesome, you can just use your own preferred technique, as long as it gets sewn together properly. Just like with straight needle knitting, a yarn needle works perfectly fine too. The methods are quite similar. Follow this approach. Different stitch patterns might require some adjustments, but this part looks good without any changes. This is how you sew it, and continue all the way to the underarm. Then for the dragon base embroidery here, it's the same as right side to right side. Pay attention to the right side. Make sure the bind-off position is aligned. That's all. Follow this method to sew all the way to the cuffs.